Adani is dead. Long live Adani. Borrowing from the English tradition, when the king dies, that is how it is announced. The king is dead. Long live the king. The part of long live used to intrigue me. I didn't understand until I knew it meant that there is perpetual succession. So one king has died, another one is coming, and long live the one who is coming. So Adani is dead. The president has cancelled the Adani deal insofar as it relates to the airport extension and improvement and the power line, building of power lines. But is that the last we have heard of Adani? Before we answer this, I wish to remind our viewers, followers, and all our supporters that we are giving you visibility on our channel through advertising. If you have services or goods you want the market to know, we advertise for you, and we even do content creation for advertising. In other words, you have an idea, you have something you want to advertise, we create for you the content, and then we advertise on our channel. We can even advertise for you on other platforms if you give us that task.
Hi, welcome to Hybrid School. My school, a reputable institution, an epitome of learning. It offers high-quality education.
Ithibati.
A standard library with pleasant environment for reading. An art club, a home science club, a computer club with vivacious lessons. Our fully equipped laboratory is top-notch, with standard 2 in core curricular activities: swimming, karate, table tennis, netball, basketball, volleyball, just to mention but a few.
To enroll your child, contact us through 0728 040 883 or 0770 587 921. High Peak Schools, quest for excellence.
During the State of the Nation address, the president said that there was sufficient evidence, and they had also been informed by partner states or countries about the wrongdoings of Adani. In particular, he was making reference to the fact that Adani was indicted in the United States of America for bribery, bribing huge amounts of money in order to get contracts. It will be remembered and recalled that from the time Nelson Amenya blew the whistle on Adani, moved the lead on Adani, so much has been said. By way of background, it was found that they had messed in Australia, Bangladesh, India, and of course recently in the USA. But thanks to their being uncovered, caught in the US, that deal has been cancelled. The question many Kenyans are asking, is that the end of Adani? In my opening line, I say Adani is dead, but long live Adani. What I mean is, it looks most unlikely that Adani is dead. Not even the bit of living. Adani is just there. And that Adani will reappear just in another name. Why do I say so? First, it's not very convincing. If indeed the government was serious about cancelling the deal with Adani, we would have heard about their involvement in Shifsha, and now it's called Faida something, Taifa something, Taifa Care. Why? Because We are not cancelling the deal with Adani because the deal is bad. Of course the deal is bad. That has been said many times. We are supposed to be cancelling the airport and the Ketraco deal, not because there's something we found out about the deal. No. It's because the person we are dealing with, underlying the person, that Adani has been soiled, is not the sort of person you now want to associate yourself with. He's a man you don't want to touch. So if that be the case, then the cancellation ought to have extended to anything Adani is doing in this country. So far we know 3. The airport deal, the Ketraco power building deal, and the Chief Shah deal. So that raises doubt as to the seriousness of the cancellation. It's doubtful. Secondly, it is said that immediately we proceed to procure another person to replace Adani. That is also suspect. I thought the whole idea should be interrogated. In order to avoid another Adani coming on board, it is not sufficient to cancel the Adani deal, because Adani is just a name. It can be Nadai tomorrow. It will be the same players changing the name. Why replace them immediately? That is where the trouble is. If we were serious about this thing, what he would have done is to put everything on hold and to review, to re-examine and have a conversation around the whole idea of PPPs, public-private partnership, whatever, however it goes. Because, for example, look at how it has messed us in the energy sector. The independent power producers, those crazy agreements that make electricity very expensive in this country. What am I saying? I am saying this. Government is not known to enter into good business deals. And therefore the whole idea of PPPs ought to be interrogated and not just saying Adani must go. Even an institution like our university, for example, having land and wants to operate on the BOT, build, operate, and transfer after some years. It can be a good deal. It will always be in the interest of the third party, not the institution, because this is government. We lose all our cases in courts because the people who are prosecuting the cases on behalf of government are simply given money, and that's the end of the story. And therefore, government cannot do business. The PPPs and BOTs, they can't work in this country. We saw the list of medical equipment with the counties. It's not gone well. There were counties who are given, some counties who are given equipment which they could not even operate. They didn't have even where to put those machines. CT scan, MRI, whatever. They don't have the expertise. They don't even have where to put, and yet they have been forced to have those things, the equipment. For some counties, 3, 4, 5 years, equipment in the store. Because these are deals somebody is quick to go through. There was a police leasing of vehicles. Government cannot do this kind of deal. Let's just accept it. And then we say, is there a way we can do it? Indeed, there are many ways. If we sit down honestly and seriously, and look at how we can finance some of these projects, I want to believe strongly. Indigenous institutions, public institutions like schools and universities and colleges, can play a big role. Kenyan people, the Kenyan public, we have seen how they respond when there are offers for shares. Initial offers, overwhelming response. Kenyans can contribute money to develop their own country. Government institutions bank huge amounts of money in banks, commercial banks. Huge amounts of money, billions of money. And then the banks take the same money and loan to government. Why can't the government use this money banked in institutions, in banking institutions, by government institutions, to put into infrastructure development? That's one option. I'm sure there are other options. Why again do I doubt the Adani cancellation? Simple. We go back to the year 1990s, towards the end of mid-80, 88 there. And we meet two gentlemen. I want to call them gentlemen. Kamlesh Patni. People like Ketan Somaya. Young Indian boys. The game then was different from the game now. The game then was some smart boys capitalizing on stupidity and ignorance of Kenyan leaders and on the greed of Kenyan leaders, come up with schemes to make money, like Golden Bag. Then they use Kenyan leaders, including high-ranking officials, including professors. They use them to scheme and milk the government. That's how it was. The game has changed. The game now is the smart boys within the system. The ones who put on shoes worth $1 million shillings and belts and watches worth $100,000. Shirts worth $250,000. Those smart boys in government, in the system, come up with an idea of making 20 billion. And now they go and look for crooks on the international market. Say, look here, let's go to the energy sector. We can make a clean 100 billion shillings. You take your 30, we take 70 billion. So they look for crooks and they are there in the world and bring them on board. That therefore doesn't, I'm therefore convinced cancellation of the Adani deal is going nowhere. It's just still there. The deal is there. Because the game has changed. Most of these deals belong to our own people here. And therefore, when you unearth, when you uncover them, they simply bring other faces and other names because the deal is theirs. Unlike the Golden Bag deal and other deals of those days that belong to the crooks. Now the deals belong to the system boys who go out to look for crooks. So when you catch them, the way Adani has happened, they simply remove the name Adani and bring the name of another crook. And therefore Adani is with us for a long time. My honest advice to the Kenyan people, continue in the manner of Nelson Amenya, unearthing these things and whistleblowing, because this is our country. Whenever you see a wrongdoing, it may be risky, but say something. Piga firimbi. When you are seated in an office and you see a voucher is being prepared, a payment is being made, it is suspicious. Piga firimbi. That is how the boys and girls on social media will help us save this country. Speak up. Expose these deals. And to our leaders. Our leaders. Mbadi was telling us the other day, we steal 2 billion per day. And he was pleading with us, the minister in charge of the treasury, finance minister. Please, let's reduce by 50%. This is coming from a government minister in charge of the treasury. So let's steal 1 billion per day. 1 billion Kenya shillings per day. Mbadi is no different from Uhuru Kenyatta, who said when he was again in charge of that docket. And I think he repeated it later when he was president, I'm not quite sure. But I remember when he was in charge of the treasury. Uhuru Kenyatta said, we lose 2 billion per day. While in Israel, he say we have our DNA. Wizi ya pesa umma iko ndani ya DNA yetu. It is a very bad thing to say on foreign soil. But that's it. So my advice to leaders, this is your country. This is the country you call home. This is the country you want to bequeath to your children and their grandchildren. Don't destroy it. Don't finish it. At the end of the day, when you steal 10 billion, what do you want to do with that money? I remember the man who called me from America and asked me, Manyora, just how much money does a Kenyan need? So we can only say you are either sick or you are absolutely stupid. And there's no difference between the two. For you just to get money meant for women giving birth so that they die and deliver under miserable conditions because you have stolen the billions. That Kenyan children cannot live to see their 50th birthday because money meant for maternal child health, MCH, has been stolen by you. For Kenyan children to die from diarrhea because money meant for medicine has been stolen by you. For hundreds of thousands of Kenyan children to go to school with the jiggers in their toes because we cannot even cement the floor of their classrooms to prevent the fleas from attacking them and turning into jiggers. You have eaten the money. Because millions of Kenyan children go to school barefoot because you have stolen the money. Thousands upon thousands of Kenyans are dying in their homes because they cannot access health care because you want to steal the billions. By government's own admission and World Bank and other bodies, millions of Kenyans live below poverty line. Millions of Kenyans go to bed hungry. There are few of you may have billions. And then the question comes, why do you subject the country to such a pain and misery and yet you don't even need the money? The crooks have invaded the energy sector, making electricity so expensive that manufacturers are leaving this country and going to produce the same goods outside Kenya and bring the goods back here. We are therefore importing jobs, exporting jobs by chasing away manufacturers because the crooks must have billions, making electricity extremely expensive. Because of the deals in the oil sector, because of the excess taxation, so that money may go in people's pockets. Transportation is very expensive, making production of goods and manufacturing extremely difficult. The net result of that is that we are creating deliberately unemployment. And now look at how stupid we are. That, like I've said before, a huge chunk of the young men and women who are in Nairobi today and other cities don't have any gainful employment. They are all jobless. I shudder to imagine what's going to happen in this country in another 5 years. When out of every 10 young men and women walking in the streets of Nairobi, only 1 or 2 will have a job or gainfully employed, with the remaining 7 or 8 jobless with college education, as Americans would call it. You can imagine living in a country where 70% of the people within Nairobi, young people, don't have jobs. What kind of city is that going to be? And this is the city in which you want to release your children and your grandchildren. Because this is the only country they are going to have. The immigration crisis in Europe must have taught you to love your country, because other people don't want other people in their countries. It doesn't just have to be Trump. if you've been following what's going on in Europe and the rise of nationalism. Corona must have taught you there could be times when days and stretches on end you will only be consigned to your country and make your country a good place today and tomorrow. The death of some governor newly installed in a road accident also reminded us, perhaps if there was a hospital next, I'm testimony to that. I would have died if, when I was attacked by acute pancreatitis, there wasn't a hospital like Aga Khan in Kisumu. I wouldn't have made it to Nairobi. We should know that we live in this country. There will be times you are in Kericho and you need medical attention in Kericho. You can't be flown to Nairobi, either because of your condition or because it will be too late by the time you get to Nairobi. And therefore, in Kericho, instead of stealing money, we must have good facilities like hospitals. In Mombasa, Malindi, Turkana, Lodwar, everywhere. Let us not behave like fools. Don't steal and destroy your own country and expose your children to a lot of suffering and your grandchildren in the future. And therefore, instead of being clever about the Adani deal, let's just sit down and say, this is our country. Let's not use foreigners to destroy our country. Let's just sit down and agree that these things can be done by us and with support from our partners, but not to turn them into opportunities to squeeze the money out of the public, impoverishing the country and making Kenyans live in misery and in hardship. Time will prove that we were wrong. It's not too late for us to change.
Hi, welcome to High-Peak School. My school, a reputable institution, an epitome of learning. It offers high-quality education.
Ithibati.
A standard library with pleasant environment for reading. An art club, a home science club, a computer club with vivacious lessons. Our fully equipped laboratory is top-notch, with standard 2 in core curricular activities: swimming, karate, table tennis, netball, basketball, volleyball, just to mention but a few.
To enroll your child, contact us through 0728 040 883 or 0770 587 921. High-Peak Schools, quest for excellence.